Hi, welcome to my channel Mostly Knitting. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, I'm Tash, and this is a weekly podcast where I talk mostly about the knitting that I've been doing during the week, and I also put out regular tutorials. And it is Wednesday the 19th of June, and I'm recording here in Sydney, Australia. So I'm going to jump straight into my finished objects. I have two finished objects this week, and one of them I am wearing, and that is Cami number 9. So this is Cami number 9 by My Favourite Things Knitwear, and I knit it out of Knitting for Olive cotton merino in the colorway bark, and that's how much I had left from 3 skeins. I actually probably had a little bit extra, but I had to redo a sleeve, and then I just ditched that knit yarn. I don't think I threw it out, but I didn't bother. I don't know where it is actually. Anyway, the finished object weighs 130 grams and I've got 15 grams left out of 3 balls. So there's probably about 5 grams that just got put aside. So I just finished it. I knit it out of, or on a 2.75 millimeter needle, which is 1 needle size smaller than the pattern recommends. And I did all of this finishing here on a 2 millimeter needle. The neckline I did on 2 circulars, which is quite a bit tighter than for the sleeves. They're both 2 millimeter needles, but here I actually used a 60 centimeter circular, which my gauge was obviously a lot looser. So in hindsight, not in hindsight, I'm not changing anything, or if I was to make it again, I would definitely use a 2 circulars or magic loop. Probably 2 circulars because it's quite a bit of knitting there. It's probably a bit easier to use 2 circulars, and I do have 2 millimeter. I have at least 2 millimeter circulars. So, yep, I'll just stand up and show you. So these pants are reasonably low waisted. So there's my navel. So there's plenty of room, like from my navel, I can totally tuck it into high waisted pants. So this is the folded hem. So you do a purl turning row, and then you sew. You don't sew it down. You actually do you pick up the stitches and then do like a knit 2 together with the live stitches with the previous sort of where you started on the smaller needle. Yep, so I knit the 27.25 inch size, but my gauge must be a tiny little bit bigger because the bust circumference is 28 inches, which is 4 inches of negative ease for me, but I think that fits quite nicely. It's a 70% cotton, 30% merino, I'm pretty sure that's right, blend, and it's really nice to knit with. It was definitely nicer on the slightly larger needles. When I went down, so this is on a 2.75, when I went down to the hem, I used a 2.25. Let me see. And from here down, it's 13 inches. So I'm wearing a strapless bra, which you can't see. I do feel like this is just a little bit less pulled in than I would like, but it's not too bad. So we'll see how it goes with wear, but you definitely can't see my bra here. And so I am wearing a strapless bra, but you know, I'm all right with that. You would definitely see a regular bra. And I haven't figured out the racer back clip on a regular bra by myself. But I will see if my husband can help me with that, or one of the kids. And I will try that just to see. I did bother to get the clips a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, so that's my, it looks like there's a stain there, but actually that's just a bit of water from when I was washing my hands. Yeah, really happy with it. I can tuck it in. Obviously, even with these low-waisted ones, I could fully tuck it in, like it's long enough that I can do that, sort of just. But I also haven't blocked it. So I haven't blocked it. I did do just a little steam block because I had blocked it to here, and then I did all of the neck and collar, neck and armhole treatments. Then I knit down, and I hadn't blocked it since. So it hasn't actually been like one full wet block, but I did just steam block sort of around here where there was sort of a bit of a line when I, from where this had been blocked and the rest hadn't. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I was going to say? Oh, yeah. So with the folded hem, I thought that would be really quick. And I did what the pattern said, was to like carry some sewing thread along with me on my first row so that when I folded, I could sort of see where I needed to pick up. But I could count where I needed to pick up. Like it was 8 rows. I can just count with the purl bumps. And then I had this like sewing thread that was stuck through all of the work. And then I had to spend like half an hour pulling it out, and it was totally unnecessary. And so I wouldn't recommend the sewing thread trick. I would just, but what I did do was I didn't pick up a stitch, knit it together, pick up a stitch, knit it together. I got a really small needle, like a 1.75 millimeter needle. I don't even know how I ended up with one. I must have bought some on eBay at some point. Anyway, I've never used it for knitting. And I just went through and picked up the purl bump all the way around, so that, and I could check that it was the correct purl bump, because it gets a little bit tricky if you're trying to do it at the same time to make sure you're in the right spot. So I just picked up along the whole way around all the stitches, so that then when I knit the live stitch, I had another one ready to go, knit it together, bind off, knit another one together, and then bind off, because you actually do that at the same time as binding off. So I hope that makes sense. If I ever do it again, I'll do a video of it. And I was thinking about doing it on this one, but then I had the sewing thread in the way, and I was like, and I just wanted to get it finished. So yeah, but that would be a good tutorial actually, just going around and making sure you're picking up the purl bump where you want to do the folded hem to join that initially, and then doing the whole knit together and bind off all in one, rather than one stitch at a time picking up. That would have taken me hours if I was trying to do it one at a time. Anyway, so that's my first work in progress, and my first finished object, and I'm very happy to have it done. My second finished object is the Oslo hat with mohair, and I knit this out of Knitting for Olive, soft silk mohair, and merino in the colorway ballerina. Now I did have the leftovers somewhere. I was going to show you how much I had left, but if I find them later, I'll show them. And then I'll just, keep moving. So I'll try it on just quickly, because I didn't actually have the one that I did in soft blue. I didn't have that one to show because I'd already gifted it. So, but this is pretty much exactly the same. I knit it exactly the same in terms of length and number of rows. Hats I'm not sure that beanies are exactly a great look on me. I always feel like they suit people with a fringe better, like like where you've actually got some hair kind of coming out. I don't know. Something like along those lines. I think it looks a little bit better if you're framed with a bit of hair around your face, not just like, anyway. So I used less than one ball of each. So I didn't actually, I still had some left over of the soft silk mohair, which has 225 meters, and obviously the merino, which has 250. There's plenty of yarn there. I knit this on a 3.5 millimeter needle, and I actually find this is much more comfortable than the ones that I have knit on a 3.25. Just that little bit larger needle size means it's snug, but not like tight. Whereas I find my 3.25 ones are a little bit tight. So I think that's what I'll do from now on. I will use a 3.5 mil needle. I do a provisional cast on, and then I just pick that up together and knit it together. But you don't have to. You can do it. You can do it and then just pick up along the way as you go if you want to. But yeah, I really like it. I think it's really pretty, and it will go in there. It is actually cold enough to wear beanies now, so especially when I start at school and I'm opening the gates at 6:45 in the morning, and it's like 5 degrees, which I think is, let me think, 32, 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's cold enough, especially when our houses aren't heated well. So even though like that may not seem that cold to other places, if you live somewhere really cold, you've got double glazing, you've got like, really good, well, insulated houses, and our houses aren't really generally designed for that. So it does get cold here. Anyway, so that one is done, 2 finished objects. So I'm going to do my little friend from the vault segment here, which if you're new, it's a segment where I talk about something that I knit earlier. And so because I actually have a finished garment, I won't do a garment this week. I'm going to do a scarf/shawl. This is a really old pattern. If you've been knitting for a while, you probably recognize this one. This is Hitchhiker by Martina Behm, B-E-H-M. And I think this has heaps of projects on Ravelry. I don't know how many, but it was really, really popular back in the day. I knit this in 2012, and I knit it out of the yarn that she designed it with, which is Wollmeise 100%. And I think this colour is called Don Roche or something like that. I can't remember. It's very pinky purpley. And it just, like, I find I can't really knit rectangular scarves without getting incredibly bored. I can't even remember the last rectangular scarf I knit. Yeah, it's just too boring. Same over and over again. So this kind of gives you that kind of like, you know, just a long scarf, but it's more interesting to knit. So it's mostly garter with these little, you know, bind off teeth section. Mine, and also with the pattern, you can just keep going sort of, you know, until you've nearly finished your yarn. I did 46 points. That's why it's called Hitchhiker, because it's designed for 42 points. I think that's it. And, you know, that's the answer to the meaning of life, or the answer to everything. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it's 42. And so, yeah, it's designed for 42 points, but I did 46 because I had enough yarn. I probably could have got one more point out of it, but by that stage, I think I'd realised it was the amount of work for how much I was gaining. It was kind of diminishing returns, because you start really, really small. I think you start here. And yeah, just like that. And you're like back and forth, doing these little teeth really, really frequently. And then your rows get longer and longer until your rows are like hugely long. Yep, but it's a really nice scarf. And I actually quite like this color because it's sort of pinks and reds and purples. So it kind of goes with a lot of stuff. But I don't wear it that often actually. I've got this rack, where is it? Over there, that has just like tons of shawls and scarves and things thrown over it, and I'm always sort of digging to find. I wouldn't mind like a more attractive solution for all of my shawls and things. So anyway, that's something I wouldn't mind shopping for. So I knit that in 2012. That's my friend from the vault, and it's a really good pattern for, you know, knitting and chatting, and, you know, and it's nice, easy garter stitch, and the yarn's really lovely too. Right, so that's my friend from the vault section. I'm going to move on to my works in progress. So I have one new work in progress, so 2 off, 1 on, so that's pretty good. And this is, I was going to make the Stacks hat by Karina Spencer, and I've made that before recently, and I'm using Road to China Light in the colourway Cobalt. I got 1 skein off D-Stash. But I kind of decided, because it's for someone who has been going through chemo and has lost all her hair, and it's pretty cold here in winter, I thought I'm just going to do a twisted rib on 2.75mm needles, 120 stitches, and I did that for 7 rows, and then I'm just going to do stockinette for the rest, because I think like it's a really rich, beautiful purpley navy. Yeah, and I think it's going to look really, really lovely just in, and the fabric is so soft. So yeah, just going to do a basic stockinette hat, and, you know, decreases in 8 sections when it gets long enough. So that's my only new work in progress. I have just moved it on to the 3.25mm needles on the stockinette on 120 stitches. So that's my one new work in progress. My other works in progress are Charisma by Martin Storey, and I'm knitting this out of Rowan Selects, I'll just grab the yarn, Rowan Selects Patina, and in the colourway Confetti. It's got a bit of sparkle and it's very fluffy. And I did you might have seen I did a tutorial on, so I'll just show you where I've got to. This is the back without the ribbing. I'll have to come back and do the ribbing later. But I did the sleeves, or what will be the sleeves, like straight up, and then later, later that will get joined with the back, and then I'll have to pick up stitches and do a cuff. Yeah, so that's just the back, and then I'll have a front, and then I'll pick up stitches. That looks quite large actually, but the cuff will cinch it in. So I did some short row shaping instead of the stair step bind off. And those stitches are all ready to go to do a 3 needle bind off on each side once I've done the front. And I've got the back neck shaping here in the middle, and those live stitches will get picked up when I do the neckline with the front. So I haven't cast on the front yet. I was just kind of, you know, just a bit over it after finishing that. I thought I'll when I have a little bit of time, I'll cast on for the front, but I need to do a provisional cast on because I'm going to pick up stitches later once I sew it together, pick up the stitches later and do the ribbing at the bottom. One thing actually I thought was quite interesting this week, I watched Knit's most recent podcast, Amy, and she's doing something that has a half twisted rib, which normally a half twisted rib is you twist all your knits and you knit all your pearls standard, like not through the back loop. But she said this pattern was actually written where you only twist the knits every other row, which is how the ribbing on Kirrmaier is written. So I'm not sure if it was intentional or not. Like that sounds quite intentional, you know, and Martin Storey is an accomplished designer. He may have just intended it to be that way, or he may have just written it because it's kind of who wants to purl through the back loop? Nobody. And yet they always write their patterns knit flat. Anyway, I did a swatch and I did actually like it better when I was twisting all the knits. So I'm going to do it that way. And I think it will also just pull it in a tiny bit more. Yep, so I will do that, but obviously that's kind of right at the end. I've got to knit another, pretty much almost another whole one of this, with obviously just a little bit less in the front for the neck. And then comes I can't think that will be the fun bit, to be honest, putting it all together. Because, not fun with this yarn, sewing it together, but the only mattress stitch, well, I'll have to mattress stitch this here. And the yarn will hide a lot of pretty much anything, like it's so fluffy. But I do have a seam stitch along the edge, and then there'll be picking up stitches, which that won't be that much fun, but just sort of seeing it come together, I guess that's the nice thing about pieced garments is, you know, when you're knitting a top-down sweater, you've been trying it on quite a while. By the time you've actually finished it, you've already seen it come together along, you know, throughout most of the knitting process, particularly if you go and do the finishing, you know, like before you finish the body, like I did the neck and I did the sleeves well before I finished the body. And I do that with most of my projects so that I can, you know, judge for length and everything. Whereas with this, like, you've got like no idea until you put it all together. So I guess that will be quite exciting. Anyway, so that's Kirrmaier by Martin Storey. I think that's the only thing that I was going to say on that. So, yep, that's work in progress number two, yes. Let me talk about Poppy Tea now. This is Poppy Tea by Petite Knit, and I'm using Sandnes Garn Sunday and Tin Silk Mohair in the colours 4008. And let me see, I've made, I'd already done the neckline last week. I've made a bit of progress down the body. I could try it on over this. I don't usually do knit on knit, but let's try it on. That'll work. So just chuck that in. It's mohair, right? So it's going to be, I might be spitting fluff for a little bit. So I have, I just put it on a long needle so I could try it on. It is coming down the, you know, I haven't done heaps, but yeah, because I guess I was finishing this and I was also getting Kirrmaier done. So, but you know, it's making progress. I haven't blocked it yet. I was thinking maybe when I get to the end of one of these balls, that's maybe when I might block it and I might do a sleeve. You know, I don't know if I'll do both. Yeah, may as well. It's kind of nice if you get the sleeves done, then when you finish the body, it's finished. And I really love this color. I think it's really pretty. I'll just show you the detail here. So this needs a block. You can see how that's sort of pulling up like that. When I block it, that will sit flat. I just haven't blocked it yet. So that will sit flat. And I really like these lines here. I think that's really just, I don't know, elegant? Yeah, maybe elegant's the right word, or just tailored, polished. That's probably better. Not elegant, that's a bit fancy. Tailored or polished, I think. And yes, I did not do a folded collar. I just did a single layer collar, but I did do the two setup rows and the tubular bind off. And I am using a slightly smaller needle size. I'm using a 3.5 needle instead of I think she uses maybe she does use a 3.5. Anyway, I'm not sure what the pattern says, but I am using a 3.5. Maybe that is what that's recommended. Maybe it is. Anyway, my gauge is a bit tighter. I'm knitting the 35.5 inch size, which is the smallest size, but it's coming out about 32 inches because my gauge is more like 25 instead of 23. So that's it for the Poppy Tea. That's how that's going. And then my last work in progress is Snow Wonder by Heidi Kirrmaier. And I have made a bit of progress there, not heaps, but a little bit. So I'm knitting this out of Rerum Natura Gilliat in the colourway Ciel, and I've made a little bit more progress down like on the snowflake. It's a 65, I'm using 4.5mm needles, which are the recommended needles, and I'm on gauge of 19 stitches over 4 inches. I sort of mucked around with my sizing. I think I've ended up around the around the S2 size, which will be about 38 inches. I'm a little bit nervous about having enough yarn. I do have a hat that I knit, the Manhattan hat. I'll put a picture of that up there. I am willing to harvest yarn from that hat. Fruit fly. I don't want to. I really don't like unraveling finished objects that are actually perfectly fine, but yeah, if it means I suppose I could always order another ball of the, yeah, maybe I'd do that instead. But then I'd have 3 dye lots, because I've got some leftovers from the Manhattan hat, which I used for the neckline. I'll try it on. So yeah, what was I saying? The pattern, the chart is 65 rows. I'm not particularly enjoying doing the bobbles, but you know, they'll be done eventually. Like everything, you know, just one stitch at a time, one row at a time. Yes, so the bobbles, it's a 65 row repeat, and I've done 39 rows, so that is 60%. So I've got another 26 rows to go. So it's symmetrical, so like, I guess this is the center here. Yep, I'll get there. And I've already done, like I said before, I've already done the neckline, and I think that's fitting fine. It's going to be, you know, kind of roomy, which is why I'm a little bit uncertain, because I actually only had 3 balls of the, so I've got this left, I've got another ball, it's pretty good yardage on this, and then I've got this left over, which I used for the ribbing here, and I'll use that for the sleeve cuffs and the bottom hem. I'm just hoping, fingers crossed, I have enough yarn to knit it like the length I like, and I'll do tapered sleeves in this because the sleeves are so big. And I definitely don't want a balloon sleeve. So because they're quite large, I think I will do just like a gradual taper. As long as it's not tight on my forearm, or like, you know, sausage casing coming down my arm, I'll be quite happy to do some shaping coming down. So, yep, that's it for my works in progress. I think that's probably, yeah, I think that's it. Right, so I was just getting a little bit cold. I couldn't sit here in a camisole in winter. I just put on my one of my old favourites, my Ingalls sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and I knit this out of Madeline Tosh Pashmina in Celadon, and I think it was Rowan Kid Silk Haze, and then the contrast is Hazelnut's Lively DK with another, I think maybe blackcurrant. Anyway, this is one of my favourites. I love this design. It's probably one of the first really oversized sweaters that I made. And I realised, oh, I actually really want more oversized sweaters in my wardrobe. So, and it's lovely and cozy and warm. Right, so I'm up to acquisitions and plans. I was gifted a few patterns this week, really beautiful ones that were on my wish list that I'm really excited to make. And so that's kind of also, I'm going to say this is acquisition and plans, because that's definitely directing my plans. So I was gifted the Clover Tea Solo by Lena Holm Samso, and Maggie gifted me that pattern, so thank you, Maggie. That looks so pretty. It was one of the ones that I mentioned that had caught my eye last week. And yes, I am starting to think about yarn that's got like a 20 stitch gauge, and I think it's meant to be knit out of like Sandnes Garn Lena, which is a really lovely yarn. And even if I don't have that, I'm sure I can find something that is comparable. The other gifted pattern, well, there's 3 other gifted patterns. Another one by Lena Holm Samso is the Peacock Tea Solo, and Mary Ann gifted me that one, and I love that yoke design. So I've been trying to work out yarn for that one as well, because I'm really keen to make that too. And the 2 other patterns, one was the April cardigan by Petite Knit, and Stephanie gave me that, so thank you so much. That's such a lovely, elegant cardigan, and I really am noticing the lack of cardigans in my wardrobe. So that one and the champagne cardigan, which I'll talk about in a minute, and there's another one that I'm really keen to make. So, and the other pattern that was gifted to me was the Oslo sweater by Petite Knit, and Rhonda gifted me that one. And yeah, I love that one. I really particularly love the double fold collar, the lines. I think I saw Amy Knits, again, her version of it really inspired me to make it. So thank you, Rhonda. So thank you everybody for gifting me those patterns. It's been really lovely to see them and to think about the yarn and the sizing as well, because sometimes like the sizing might seem a bit big, like, and I want to sort of see like if I use a slightly different gauge yarn, or how many stitches are cast on under the arms, can I adjust there? And unless I've actually got the pattern, I don't really know. So it can make it hard to work out, you know, could I substitute a yarn? Can I change the pattern a little bit to make it, you know, better fitting for me? Yeah, so because even though I like my sweaters oversized, I generally like my tees pretty fitted. Yeah, so anyway, there are 3 acquisitions this week, and I'm definitely thinking about all of them. The other acquisitions that have come in this week are some yarn that I ordered. So Rhonda actually mentioned that the lady's name's Tash, actually, at Make Create in Australia. She actually here in Sydney. She sells the myak yarn, and I really wanted to make Fjolla. I don't know if that's how you say it, but Fjolla by Isabell Kraemer. So I got the oatmeal in the baby lace. I got 5 skeins of that, and I've wound it up. I've wound up 2 skeins because you hold it double, and I'm going to swatch with that. I haven't swatched it yet, but I've got actually a huge list of swatching plans because some of the yarn that I bought is new to me. Like, I've not knit with it before, so I'm really keen to see how, like, what needle size I like to use, what gauge I'm getting, all of that kind of stuff. So that's one acquisition that came in. And the other one was an order from Sunspun. So I had a birthday coupon for 20% off. So, and I had been gifted the shore tee. And so I really wanted to make that. Actually, let me just remember who, that was Ursula who gifted me the shore tee. And so I got the yarn, the actual yarn from Sunspun. So that's Isia Trio. I probably had something like this in stash that would have worked, but I was quite keen to make it out of the yarn, and then maybe I'll play around with stash if I make another version. I'm already talking about the second version. I haven't made the first version yet. Anyway, this is Isia Trio 2, which is a linen yarn. It's linen cotton lyocell. 50 grams is 175 meters, and that's in the colorway linen. And the alpaca 1, which is a lace weight alpaca, that's 50 grams is 400 meters, so definitely a true lace weight, 100% alpaca. So those 2 together, I think that's actually the yarn that, even the color and everything, that Anne used in the pattern. So yeah, I got the right amount of that, and I am thinking about other stash yarn that I have that I could use that would replace something, like if I like it and I want to make another one. Because I'm kind of quite keen to use up some of my plant fibre stash. So, but that held with an alpaca, and this is pretty affordable actually, like 50 grams, 400 meters. To use this alongside a plant-based fibre, I'm really curious to see how that comes out. So, yep. So I've got a swatch for that. Haven't started that yet, but that's coming. Another thing that I got, because you know, like, it's $200 is free shipping. So, and I had 20% off. So. Yeah, so I did a bit of a purchase. So I purchased, what was it? This is the Ulysse yarn, another Rerum Natura. This is their sport weight, and this is the colorway, what is it? Bruyere. And so it's 100% wool. It's really lovely and squishy. 50 grams is 185 meters. And the reason I got this is a lovely lavender colour. I have this Hedgehog Fibres Kid Silk Lace yarn that I bought. I have 3 skeins of this that I bought for another, I bought it to go with another sort of greyish toned, it was actually also Hedgehog Fibres, and it just looked really muddy together. And then, you know, once you buy something and then you swatch and you look at it and you're like, actually that doesn't work. Then I have this 3 skeins of this quite expensive yarn that I'm like, this is colorway Purr, like P-U-R-R, like a cat. It is really beautiful. So I just thought, I think those 2 are going to go really well together. So what I'm thinking about this is this plus 2 skeins of this might work for, not 2, but like this double might work for Magnolia Bloom. And so I've got 1200 meters of this. So if I hold it double, that would be 600 meters. And I've got well over 600 meters of this because I was thinking something else at the time. Anyway, I could hold it with just one of this, or I could hold it with two and make Magnolia Bloom. That Magnolia Bloom has a pretty large gauge. So anyway, I was kind of hoping that in getting this, I would also use another stash yarn and those two would go nicely together. So that's another plan. And I do already have Magnolia Bloom in my library. The other yarn that I got some more of the alpaca, alpaca one in this colorway Midnight. It's a really nice sort of blue, oh, sorry, too much fluff around. A really nice blue, it's got sort of some like a purpley, oh, can't really see in this light. It's not just a straight navy, it's a bit heathered. And I have this yarn in stash, this Peyton's Totem that I've had for donkey's years from eBay, I think. And I just thought those two might look nice together. So I'm going to swatch those together. And the other thing that I thought, when I was thinking that Shore Tea by Anne Wenzel out of that Trio 2, I remember that I had this Rowan 4-ply cotton in stash. And I thought actually those two might be quite a nice combination for the Shore Tea. So I'm going to swatch with those two and with those two. And if I like them both, I can get more of this because I got 3 skeins of this, so plenty of that. Yes, it was at 1200 meters, but I'm sure I could get more if I wanted. So I think they might, you know, I'm really curious. I quite like holding yarns together and seeing what the color ends up looking like. So I think that's all for my, my acquisitions. The other thing that I was going to, where is it? Let me just find my notes. The other thing that I was going to mention was, before I get into what is called my eye, because it's still sort of, I'm in acquisitions and plans. So even though I didn't acquire this, it's still part of my plans. This is the yarn that I had, and I've got more of it, but unwound from Turtle Dove that I was making and not really particularly liking. It's Shepherd Yarn Supreme and Rowan, no, I think it's Knit Picks Aloft. And so I've started swatching for the Champagne cardigan. So I've only just started swatching, and I'm swatching for gauge because the Champagne cardigan has heaps of positive ease, and it's an 18 stitch gauge. And I'm a bit worried that I might even get bigger than 18, like as in a smaller number than 18, like 17 stitches, which means my stitches are bigger. I just want to check my gauge on this because I'm thinking about how I might size it down just a little bit. I want it oversized, but maybe not quite as oversized as it is. So anyway, I'll swatch this and block it and see how I am for, like, I'm liking the fabric. It's pretty firm, but I think I'd actually quite like that for that cardigan. Not too firm, but just, yeah, that's on a 4.5mm needle. So we'll see how, because that's the Shepherd is a DK weight yarn with a fingering, with a silk mohair. So we'll see how I go if I get 18 stitches, hopefully, or maybe even 19 would be good. But you know, a lot of it's just about the fabric. If I get 18 and I want it to be a bit smaller, I might just need to maybe do less raglan increases on the Champagne cardigan. Anyway, that's a thought. The other thing that with plans was I was talking about my Newton the other day for a Roots and Shoots sweater that was gifted to me by, that was from Chantal. So I thought maybe I found this Isia silk mohair in stash, and I thought, because from what I understand, it's probably a little bit, holding this double might be a bit too warm. Holding it with a mohair might help with the fragility. So those two together might be quite nice. This is light, but I think because this is sort of, it's pink, but there's, you know, it is quite light in color. I think those two might be quite nice together. I just need to do a contrast color with it. I do have one other Newton color, but it's just not the right, it's not the right color. It's not enough. Well, I suppose they don't go too badly. This is definitely darker. Yeah, anyway, I'm not sure that those two would go. It'd be interesting to swatch it though. And maybe if I used a darker mohair with that one. You don't need a lot for the contrast color. So, and Ursula sent me a message and said that she might have some Newton and she might be able to part a little bit, because these, like, I've got heaps of these. There's quite a lot of yardage, and I think I only need 30 grams for the contrast. So yes, so that's my kind of plans and things in my head, along with acquisitions, which is quite exciting. I'm quite happy in some ways buying some yarn that might help some of my old stash, you know, long time stash, get out of stash. Right, so I'm up to what has caught my eye. Just a few things this week. One is the Heli hat by Carol Fjolla. I just thought, I saw that on Instagram and it looked like a really good hat for leftovers. So that looks quite cute. I didn't check the gauge on that, but yeah, it looks sweet. I'm sure you could, like if it was DK, you could hold fingering together or something. The June Drifter shawl by Wool and Pine. I think it, like the photography their photography often like draws me to patterns as well as beautiful patterns. Like I love this sorrel. But anyway, the June Drifter is a shawl and it's made with 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn, and the color and the design and everything just looks amazing. So that's caught my eye. Another sweater that has caught my eye, I don't know if it's come out recently, but maybe the light version has come out recently. It's Robinia Light by Anne Wenzel. And the light version is it's just such a cute design. I love the little scallop look of it, and I like the boat neck look as well. So the light version has a 23 stitch gauge, and its suggested yarn is a DK weight, whereas the Robinia is a 16 stitch gauge. So, and that uses 3 strands of yarn. So whereas the Robinia light, you could just use a DK, or I suppose you could use a finger in a mohair, something like that. Yeah, so that one just caught my eye as well. It looks really cute. And the other thing that's caught my eye is a little Cami, Calm Night, I think Calm Night Cami by Lily Kate, and that is a fingering weight cotton blend at a 26 stitch gauge, and that looks really sweet. After having just finished Cami number 9, I don't really feel like I'm rushing to knit another Cami, and it is winter here, so I'm knitting the poppy tee. I want to knit the shore tee, but I think if I'm knitting any tops at the moment, I want them to be like with sleeves and things that I could wear now with a jacket, not sleeveless at the moment. I'll go sleeveless later. I was actually thinking I'd love to make another pie camisole. Like I'd love to order more of the cotton merino, the Knitting for Olive cotton merino. I do love this yarn. I'd love to make another pie camisole, but that's kind of like I've got lots of yarn, lots of lovely patterns, lots of really nice tees, cardigans and sweaters. That's kind of more where my head's at the moment. Right, so I think that's it for my, so immediate plans are swatching for the champagne cardigan. I'm pretty keen to make that, and at an 18 stitch gauge, although there is double knitting for the band. Other than that, it should be pretty quick. And then at the moment I'm just playing around with stash for all of the new patterns in my library. So I've just grabbed some of my, I'll just pull that over here, because I have like just a lot of cotton yarn in like at least tea quantities. And this is Rowan cotton glacé. I've got enough in this nice green color, in this brown color, enough for a tea. And what's this one? Another one in this kind of, I actually have like 10 skeins of this. I think I bought that on eBay a long time ago, but I quite like that. I've been thinking about making a dress in that. So I'm not sure about, seeing I've got 10 skeins. I might hold on to that for a dress one day. I've got this Peyton's Grace, which I think in this red, which is not my favorite red, to be honest. Like this is, oh, they look quite similar. This is definitely a deeper, this is more orangey. They don't look that different on camera, but anyway, I've got this Peyton's Grace. I don't know how long I've had this. I think since my children were toddlers, I've had this yarn in a black and a red, you know, full, like I think I have 5 balls of each of them, so enough for it. And they're 100 and how many meters? I don't know, lots. And then I think I showed this Ella Rae Silkiance before. The thing I'm nervous about this is you can see how kind of roughed up the yarn just looks like even in the ball. I haven't even knit it, so I'm just wondering if that may not look all that nice in a top. It might look kind of roughed up and beaten up very quickly. So, and I don't really want to spend a lot of time knitting something that's going to end up looking roughed up within a few wears. The other thing that I just found in my stash is this, I don't know what that brand is, but Mille Filet Fine, and I think I've got 5 balls of that. It's a really nice icy blue. And then this Lane du Nord silk, this mulberry silk, that's a DK weight, and I think I've got 6 skeins of that. So I have a lot of like top kind of, you know, plant fiber type, and I have linen yarn, I have so much other, and I have Rowan cotton. I didn't even think about this, Rowan cotton. Oh my goodness, this wasn't meant to be a flash my stash episode, but I just remember I have like, I think I have 6 Rowan cotton Pima, is it Ultra Pima? I think I have, sorry, not Rowan, Cascade Ultra Pima. I have this one in like a sand color. I think I have 6 skeins of that, or maybe only 3. I don't know. One of these I only have 3 of. I have this red and I have this green. So I don't know. I think I was going to make blankets out of these, or maybe a dress out of that. You know, I have an idea and then I buy the yarn, especially like, you know, what I would buy things when we would visit America, and I would like think it's like the only time I can ever get yarn, or, you know, because I'm saving on shipping or whatever. Anyway, and then it sits in my stash for like a decade. So yeah, it kind of, after I've finished a lot of my personal commitments, I am going to go through my stash. And whenever I do that, that definitely puts yarn buying on a major hold, because I'm like, look at all this lovely yarn that I have. What am I doing buying more yarn? Like, I'm allowed to, but I actually do want to use the yarn that's in my stash. So anyway, I do have lots of summery yarns, obviously, as I've shown, and lots of wool yarns, lots and lots of yarn. And I've just bought more. So anyway, I'm all excited about the plan. And then I want to make my son a hat. Do I have yarn in my stash to make him a hat? No, I don't. Isn't that crazy? Anyway, that's enough on that, on my immediate plans. I might just say that's it for the knitting content. Oh, I'll say this now before I sign off. Just for the next few weeks, probably until towards the end of July, I'm just going to switch to fortnightly podcasting. I've got some big deliverables with work coming up, just the last few of big things that are due. By mid-July, things will be a little bit calmer. So probably for the next 2, I won't record next week. I'll record on the 3rd, but I won't record on the 10th because I'll be actually working all day that day. And then I'll try and get back to weekly after that. But I'll see how I go. But yeah, for a little bit, just for the next few weeks, probably next month, I'm going to have to switch to fortnightly for now. But then I'll get back into... I can't even imagine how long these podcasts would be if I was regularly doing it fortnightly. But just at the moment, I'm really busy. So yes, that's what's happening. Okay, so if you're leaving me now, thank you so much. If you can like and subscribe and all that stuff. And yeah, I'll just get on to the personal stuff now, which will be pretty quick, I think. Right, so just been really busy at work, writing lessons, writing a trial HSC paper, marking, all the usual teaching stuff. But I do have this study presentation, like a whole week-long program at my work in the first week of the school holidays that I have to get all of the things all the printing needs to be submitted by the 1st of July. So that's why I'm taking next week off. I need to get all of that nailed down, plus the trial HSC as well. So this week, what's happened? Yeah, just that, and that's why I'm kind of taking some time off. I also bought a new iPad, which I don't even have time properly to play with it at the moment because I'm so busy, but I'm looking forward to being able to, I'll be able to edit this on the iPad instead of on my phone. So that will be kind of nice. And actually I did do it with the Charisma video that I just did. I edited it on my iPad and it was a lot quicker and a lot easier, which was nice. And I think eventually I might learn how to use iMovie. I was going to do Adobe Premiere Pro, but now that I've got the new iPad, I think I'll use iMovie. I think that's meant to be quite user-friendly and quite easy, and I'm all for like user-friendly. In terms of what's coming up, I am teaching a Fixing Mistakes class at Skein Sisters on Saturday. Next Wednesday night, I do have something at work which I'm excited about. There's an American mathematician, his name's Francis Sue. He is coming to do a talk in the evening and we're having dinner beforehand. So I won't be recording that Wednesday. I'll be recording, so I'll report back what I thought of it in my personal stuff in my next podcast. So it says in his bio that he writes about the dignity of human beings and the wonders of mathematical teaching. So that lecture sounds right up my alley, and I'm really excited that my school is putting the lecture on. So it'll be actually the dinner and the lecture will be at my school. And yeah, just like other than that, just working until I've got, how many more weeks of school left? I've got 3.5, 2.5, I don't know, I can't even count. Maths teacher and I can't even count. 2.5 weeks of school, no, I don't know, I can't even think. My brain's frozen. Yes, 2.5 weeks of school left. Then I've got this holiday program for a week. And then I can actually have a holiday, which I'm really excited about. I've got a 2-week break then, which will be nice. I can actually catch my breath. The other things that I was just going to mention, my arthritis, I'll just keep the little health update short. The prednisone is just not really working, and I'm seeing my GP tomorrow to figure out what other alternatives there are as I wait, and I might see if when she sends a letter to my rheumatologist if when she tells him that the prednisone's not working, if he can maybe try to squeeze me in before October the 31st. Right, so I think that's, oh yeah, the only other thing that is on the weekend, I did watch a couple of episodes of the season 5 of Fargo, which has been good, gone a little bit odd, but still quite interesting and enjoyable. And yeah, not much time for watching TV at the moment though. So, and I'm definitely, I can't do anything about the commitments that I've already made, but I'm being very judicious in all of the things that come my way in terms of what I'm already have been saying no to a lot of opportunities, just because I'm like, I actually, nothing major, but just, work, like a leadership role at work, you're going to apply for that. And I was like, actually, no, I need to not do that stuff right now. And like right now, my son's doing his HSC that starts in about 3 or 4 months. Like in September, he'll start the HSC course. And yeah, and like we will be trying to get our house ready for sale and all that kind of thing. That takes time. So I'm just listening to my body, recognizing that I just need to slow down and not commit to too much at the moment, and just try to keep a little bit more margin in my life. So that's it for this week, and hence, I'm like, next week I'm not going to do a podcast because I actually will be at work getting all this stuff done, and as much as I love podcasting, I know it might stress me out if I'm trying to do that as well. So yep, but then I'll be back in a fortnight. So thank you so much for watching, and thank you everyone for who's here, who's commenting, who's sharing what they're making, who's sharing tips. I just appreciate it so much, and I just appreciate this community. So thank you for being here, and I'll see you in a fortnight. Bye.